Going to be a part 2 and a part 3 to this video. For part 2, we need two area formulas. We need the area formula for a rectangle. And let me just make a generic rectangle and draw it. Usually, when I draw rectangles, I draw them wider than they are high. I call the longer side, the horizontal side, the length, and the shorter side, the vertical side that I draw, the width. I always make my lengths longer than my widths. And I need to have the formula area of a rectangle equals the length of the rectangle times the width. And I generally do that with letters. I do A for area, L for length, W for width. The other formula that I'm going to need in this part of the video is the area of a triangle. And I'll make a generic triangle. And I'll draw a line from one of the vertexes to the opposite side, and that line will make a right angle. That line that I just drew, I call a height, and I give the letter H for that height. And the side that the height connects to, I call the base, and I give that a B. The area for a triangle is base times height over 2. These are bad because of the over 2. Then we're going to start having fractions, and we haven't done much algebra with solving equations with fractions. And so the algebra could get a little bit messy. So here it's going to be area equals base times height over 2. I need those two formulas, not for each problem that I'm about to do is going to require one of those two formulas. So if I slip down to 11 and 12, it talks about a rectangular bedroom and it talks about an area. So I'm going to need the formula for the area of a rectangle, that the area of a rectangle is its length times the width. And now I'm going to try to come up with an equation. As I read this, it says the length of a rectangular bedroom. That I'm going to give the letter L. So that whole sentence fragment, I'm going to give the L. And then it says is. The word is, I'm going to write equals. And then the rest of this sentence, it says 3 feet longer than the width. That's the width plus 3. It's 3 more than the width. And I'm going to say that is just like the word more. Longer in this case is an addition, and it flip-flops the order. So 3 feet longer than the width is the width plus 3. Done with the first sentence. So in my world here, the length of the bedroom is L. The width of the bedroom the length is L, but L is W plus 3. The length is 3 more than the width. That's what I have up here. I wrote it down but didn't even think about what I had. This little sentence right here says the length is 3 more than the width. So the length is width plus 3. I'll put a little colon here. And the width is just the width. Done with the first sentence. That's the meat sentence. The second sentence says the area of the bedroom. Area stands for A. So this whole part right here is going to be A. Is going to be equals. And it equals 108. Then it says find the dimensions. I need to find the length and the width. This problem, I can't accept negative answers because dimensions of bedrooms can only have positive lengths and positive widths. I know that the formula for the area of a rectangle is length times width generically. So generically, if I don't know anything about the bedroom, its length times width is 108 feet. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to replace the L with a W plus 3. I'm going to say the width plus 3 times the width equals 108. And I'm going to solve this, and this is an evil one to solve because 108 is such a big number. I'm going to have to help you out and give you the numbers that are going to be important. I'm going to solve this. I wish the numbers weren't so big. On the test, if I give a problem like this, the numbers will be numbers you can catch in your head. I'm going to flip-flop the left-hand side before I simplify because multiplication is commutative. I can do that. And I'm going to solve this just like I did the last word problems. I'm going to clear the parentheses by going w times w, which is w squared, w times 3, which is 3w. That equals 108. Now I'm going to subtract 108 from both sides. And I get to the world where I don't know the answer just yet. Usually I know the answers to the problems that I'm doing before I get this far into the problem, but I don't know right now. I need to factor this. I'm going to sight factor. I'm going to make a couple parentheses, lead off with w's. And I need to find numbers that multiply to negative 108 and add subtract to positive 3, and they need to be plus and minus. Let me just make a guess. Let me do 108 divided by 9. That tells me, that 108 is 9 times 12. Negative 108 is going to be 12 times negative 9. That's a pair of numbers that multiplies to negative 108. And if I add those numbers, 12 plus negative 9 is the same as 12 minus 9, which is 3. I would never do this on a test, but the numbers that I need are going to be positive 12. So let me just write this better. This is going to be w plus 12 times w minus 9 equals 0. Solving the left parentheses, I'd get negative 12 for the width of the room. Solving the right parentheses, I'd get w equals 9 for the rest of the room. The negative 12 can't be an answer because the dimensions of a room can't be negative. So the answer in terms of the width for this bedroom must be 3, and I should tack on units, and the units are feet. So for my answer, my width is w is going to be 3 feet. And then it says the length is 3 more, so I'm going to add 3 to it because the length is the width plus 3. And the length of this room is going to be 12 feet. Your problem 11 should work exactly the same way. And I believe the numbers you're going to need are going to be 10 and 12. You have to get some signs with those, but those are the numbers that are going to multiply to the 120 and somehow incorporate the 2 that you need. So as you're doing number 11, you don't have to fumble for the numbers because 120 is such a big number. You're going to need 10 and 12. $14, I'm going to pick off the first sentence, and immediately it says a rectangular garden is 3 feet narrower than it is long. I need to translate that giant sentence into something that says that the length is 3 more than the width, or the width is 3 more than the length. I kind of don't like the way I've written this, but I just wrote it this way because it just came out naturally. This first sentence really says that the width of the rectangular bedroom is 3 less than the length. I'm running out of room, so I'm going to run out of grammar. That's what the first sentence says to me. It's a garden. That's not a bedroom anymore, idiot. The width of the garden is 3 less than the length. That's what this means. That English there translates to that English. And that for me says the width is the length less 3. That's what the first sentence gives me in problem 14. The second sentence says the area of the garden is 54 square feet. It says the area is or equals 54 square feet. And I know that area is the same as length times width, so that the length times width of this garden is 54 square feet. And I'm going to replace the W with an L minus 3. So I'm going to get length times length minus 3 equals 54. And I'm going to clear the parentheses. I'm going to go L times L, which is L squared, L times minus 3, which is minus 3L, equals 54. Now I'm going to minus 54 minus 54. This is going to give me L squared minus 3L minus 54 equals 0. I'm only allowed to have positive answers because I'm finding physical lengths, and lengths can't be negative in reality. I'm going to sight factor this, lead off my parentheses with a couple of L's. I'm going to find numbers that multiply to negative 54 and add, subtract to negative 3. And it's going to be 6 and negative 9, because 6 times negative 9 is negative 54. 6 plus negative 9 is the same as 6 minus 9, which is negative 3. So in my parentheses, I get a plus 6 and a minus 9. Still have the equal to 0. The first L plus 6, when I set it equal to 0 and solve it, I'll get negative 6. The L minus 9, when I set it equal to 0 and solve it, I'll get L equal to 9. You can't have negative lengths, so I'm going to ignore the negative 6 and say my answer, the length of this garden, is going to be 9, and I should have units, feet. And the width is 3 feet less, so I'm just going to subtract 3. 9 minus 3 and get 6, and get 6 feet. And this is perfect because if I multiply the 9 and the 6 to get the area, I get 54, and the width is 3 less, or it's 3 feet narrower than it is long. Oh, 15 is gosh awful. Let's just have you skip 15 and let's do 16 together. I don't want to work with that decimal. I don't know why I have a decimal in there. So I'm talking about triangles and areas of triangles. The first thing I see in the first sentence is the base B of a triangle is 1 foot longer than the height. That means the base is the height plus 1. It's 1 more than the height. Then it says the area of the triangle is 10 feet. So the area of the triangle is 10 feet. And I know the formula for area of the triangle. It's base times height over 2. So I know that base times height over 2 equals 10 square feet. And in place of the base, I'm going to put h plus 1. So now I know that the base, which is the height plus 1, 1 more than the height, times the height over 2 equals 10. And now I have to introduce some new problem solving that we haven't got yet. Wouldn't do this on a test, but in the world of homework, I don't mind springing something new on you. So I need to get this solved. I'm going to fix up the numerator and do this h times h plus 1 over 2 equals 10. When a problem has an equal sign, you're allowed to clear fractions, and I'm going to clear the fractions by cross multiplying. There's a couple ways to clear the fractions, but cross multiplying is so nice. I'm going to write this as h times h plus 1 over 2 equals 10 over 1, and I'm going to cross multiply. Cross multiplying is a way to get rid of fractions if you have one fraction equal to each other or a proportion. When I cross multiply down, I get 1 times h plus 1, and when I cross multiply up, I get 2 times 10. I'm going to simplify this side and get rid of the 1. I get h times h plus 1, and on the right side I get 20. I'm going to clear my parentheses. I'm going to go h times h and get h squared. H times 1 and get 1h equals to 20. I'm going to set this equal to 0 by minusing 20 from both sides. That's going to give me the height squared plus the height minus 20 equals 0. I'm going to sight factor this. I'm going to leave off my parentheses with a couple of h's. My numbers need to multiply to negative 20 and kind of add subtract to positive 1. And that's going to be 5 and negative 4, because 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. 5 plus negative 4 is the same as 5 minus 4, which is 1. So in my parentheses, I get a plus 5 and a minus 4. The h plus 5, if I solved it, it gives me negative 5 for a solution. The h minus 4, if I did the algebra to solve it, it would give me 4. Heights can't be negative. In triangles, they have to be positive, so I'm going to ignore the negative 5. And part of my answer is the height of this triangle is going to be 4, and I need units. I think the units were going to be feet. I need to find the base, because I need to know the base and the height. Oh, it just asked me to find the height of the triangle. I'm actually done. I could give the base by adding 1 to it, but it's not necessary. So better just to give what's asked for, but if I gave you the height is 4 and the base is 5, I can show you the area is 20, because the area of the triangle needs to be 10. The area of the triangle is base times height over 2. This would be 4 times 5 over 2, which is 20 over 2, which is 10. Really, the answer that's needed in problem 16 is just that the height is 4. I think one more area triangle problem. I don't put these on the test. I don't know why I left decimals in here. I'm going to ask you to skip 17 and just work 18 with me. 16 and 18 won't be on the test, so they're not such anything to really worry about. But I want to expose you to this just because if you get in a higher class, maybe you'll see something like this. So in 18, first sentence, the height is 3 feet shorter than the base. That is, the height is 3 feet shorter than the base. So it's the base less 3. If I subtract 3 from the base, I get the height because the height is shorter than the base. Second sentence says the area of the triangle is 20 square feet. So the area is 20 square feet. But area is base times height over 2. So the base times height over 2 is 20 square feet. But the height is base minus 3. So the base times the base minus 3 over 2 equals to 20. I'm going to get rid of the fractions by cross multiplying. I'm going to write the 20 as a fraction, and I'm going to cross multiply to clear my fractions. When I cross multiply up, I get 1 times b minus 3. And when I cross multiply up, bottom left to top right, I get 2 times 20. This is going to give me b times b minus 3 equals 40. That's going to give me b squared minus 3b equals to 40. Subtract 40, subtract 40. That's going to give me the base squared minus 3 times the base minus 40 equals 0. I'm going to cite factor. First parentheses, both parentheses are going to lead off with the b's. My numbers need to multiply to negative 40 and add subtract to negative 3. And it's going to be 5 and negative 8, because if I multiply 5 times negative 8, I get negative 40. And 5 plus negative 8 is the same as 5 minus 8, which is negative 3. So one of my parentheses is going to get a plus 5. The other is going to get a negative 8. When I solve these, the first parentheses would give me a base of negative 5. The second parentheses would give me a base of 8. You can't have dimensions of a triangle that are negative, so I'll ignore the negative 5. And for my answer, the base is going to be 8 feet, but that's not actually asked for, only the height's asked for. And the height is the base minus 3, so I'm going to subtract 3 and give the height is 5 feet. In this video, the rectangle problems, I always put on the test. These area of triangle problems, I can't ever remember putting them on the test. So don't worry so much about 16 and 18. If you kind of feel okay with what's going on, that's great. If you don't feel so good, send me an email. I'll modify problems 15 and 17 with different numbers so you can give them a try. I'm going to pause. We'll do a part 3, which has to do with right triangles and the Pythagorean theorem.